Imagine one day you're walking down the street and you see somebody drop their phone on the floor. Now imagine picking up their phone and returning it back to them. Would you feel any anxiety in that moment to return that person's phone? Probably not. Why? It's because you feel as though you've got something valuable to give that person. Yeah? And it's the same when you're approaching women. Rather than seeing yourself as this closet heterosexual who's carrying around shame, oh, I'm doing something wrong if I approach women. Rather than seeing yourself as somebody who is taking, view yourself as the giver of magical experiences. The fact that you're walking over to this woman today to make her feel beautiful, to leave her better than you found her, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing shameful. There is nothing creepy about doing that. Hi, my name's Chris, and what I'm going to do in this one is I'm going to give you 13 ways to be more confident when approaching women. I've got a list on my phone, so if you see me looking down, I'm not looking at my penis. So yeah, the first thing that I say to you, if you want to be more confident when you're approaching women, is to start approaching MILFs. Right? This is one of those non-obvious, lesser-known strategies that will increase your confidence ridiculously fast. So when I was learning daytime approach in Leeds in 2020, I was super low on confidence. I was addicted to porn. I had erectile dysfunction, and every day I'd see the smoking hot girls in Leeds that I really wanted to approach, but because I felt like a closet heterosexual and I felt as though it was wrong in some way to approach women, I felt as though I needed a way to stack positive social momentum first. So what I did, and I found this to be a cheat code for building confidence fast with cold approach, is I started off approaching middle-aged women, #milfshakes. Because what I found was middle-aged women were a lot easier to approach. They felt a lot more comfortable for me at 23 years old, low on confidence, erectile dysfunction. I was like, okay, I feel too intimidated right now by approaching the absolute worldies. So what I'll do is I'll start off approaching the milfshakes. And what I found was, because a lot of these older women had not been approached for a long time, some of them hadn't received a compliment from a stranger in the best part of a decade, I always found that the vibe was good. I always felt as though they didn't take themselves or the situation too seriously. And because they were more mature women, they had skin in the game. Sometimes if you approach girls in their early 20s, sometimes they don't know how to handle the approach. Sometimes because they're so entrenched in the metaverse and all they know is TikTok brain, you approach them sometimes and they don't even understand what's happening. So what I found when I was first learning daytime approach is I built confidence with older women, because usually when you're first learning daytime approach, the thing that your mind craves is permission. Yeah, because the majority of men today are living their dating lives like closet heterosexuals, you're probably carrying a lot of sexual shame. You've probably been conditioned by the propaganda to believe that approaching women is wrong, stranger danger, oh, whatever. A lot of guys need permission that it's okay to do. So what I say to my coaching clients who have a lot of apprehension and anxiety just to get started with daytime approach right now is, bro, go into your city center today and just compliment 5 older women. That's it. And by doing that, you'll start to realize that your limitations are hallucinations. You'll realize that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And once you start getting these positive reference experiences, older women who are lighting up, you're making them feel beautiful, desired, and sexy, it'll start to increase your confidence that approaching women is okay to do. So yeah, the first thing I'd say to you is start off by approaching MILFs. One second, I'm just going to get my list back up again. The second thing, and I think this is one of these underrated things that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, because whenever you look at daytime approach advice online, game advice, everybody always focuses on tactics or techniques. Oh, bro, it's all about push, pull, vibe, stack. Oh, has she hooked yet? You need to be a high-value man. You need to have biceps the size of coconuts. You need a fleet of Bugattis on your driveway. Otherwise, you're some sniveling, low-value mess. And what I found to be true in my own life is, when it comes to approaching women, it's not about what you say, and it's not even about how you say it. It's who you perceive yourself to be when you say it, okay? Internal state very much equates to external reality. It's almost like, how do you make somebody else laugh? You make yourself laugh first. I see the art of seduction, communication, daytime approach. The way that I perceive it now is the transfer of certainty. It's the transfer of a certain emotional state. And this is why I don't believe we can be in love with another human being. I think we are in love with their capacity to allow us to experience love. And I would say the majority of guys who are approaching, there's probably a part of you that wants to be loved. There's probably a part of you that wants validation from the feminine. You probably want to have a best friend who you can have sex with, right? And what I found to be true in my own life is if you already feel good in yourself before you approach women, your results are so much better, right? Because a common mistake that I see with a lot of guys who are learning daytime approach is they start using daytime approach to get all of their needs met. They're approaching women to get their social needs met, their romantic needs met, their spiritual needs met, their whatever needs met. And what I found in my own life is before you go out to approach, you want to do things that make you feel good. You want to be in what I call a high frequency state first. So for me, for example, out here in Bangkok, before I do any approaches, I'll typically do 90 minutes of Muay Thai, right? 90 minutes of intense physical activity. By the end of those 90 minutes, I have this overriding, unconditional feeling of love for myself. And then when I go out there into the field to approach women, I don't need anything from them because it feels like my cup is already full. Yeah, and the person who has the most cares the least. So when you're able to operate from this place of wholeness rather than from this place of lack, in other words, doing things that make you feel good before you approach women. So it might be training martial arts, it might be making videos of yourself in public, it might be training at the gym, it might be listening to uplifting music, it might be spending time with good people who invigorate your soul. Do things before you approach women that make you feel good, because then you can transfer this positive emotional state into the women that you're talking to. Because I've found with all the guys who I work with, the woman is very much your mirror. She will feel what you feel. So if you want to feel more confident approaching women, do things that make you feel confident before you approach. And by the way, confidence, you can define it as optimism in the absence of certainty, or the Latin origin is confidence. It means with faith. So if you want to have more faith in yourself, do things that make you feel good before you do your approaches. I hope that's semi-useful. 3, go to give. This is a great one. Go to give. So the reason why you feel shit scared right now to approach women is because there'll be a part of you that feels as though you need something from the conversation. Yeah, maybe you feel as though you need a phone number, a date, a happy ending. And this castrates you of your confidence because you feel attached to a certain outcome. And I've always found it slightly retarded when people say, oh bro, if you want to approach women, be detached from outcome. And for me, it's kind of like saying to a guy who's starving to forget about food. It's like, well, yeah, cool story, bro. For me, the mind always needs an outcome to be attached to. But if you want to feel more confident approaching women, then what I want you to start doing is going into every interaction to give. Yeah, simply being the reason why this woman smiles, being the reason why she has a better day. The only intention for this approach is to leave this woman better than you found her. Imagine one day you're walking down the street and you see somebody drop their phone on the floor, right? Imagine you're walking down the streets of London, you see somebody drop their phone on the floor. Now imagine picking up their phone and returning it back to them. Would you feel any anxiety in that moment to return that person's phone? Probably not. Why? It's because you feel as though you've got something valuable to give that person. Yeah? And it's the same when you're approaching women. Rather than seeing yourself as this closet heterosexual who's carrying around shame, oh, I'm doing something wrong if I approach women. Rather than seeing yourself as somebody who is taking, view yourself as the giver of magical experiences. The fact that you're walking over to this woman today to make her feel beautiful, to leave her better than you found her, there is nothing wrong. There is nothing shameful. There is nothing creepy about doing that. What is creepy is walking out into your city and checking women out, giving them side-eye glances, waiting for them to walk past and looking at their asses, but not doing anything about it. When you go about your business with daytime approach, with the mindset of I'm going out today to give, to make the world a better place, to leave these women better than I found them, you don't need to have any anxiety because you are going into the world to create these experiences. And also, nobody's allergic to a compliment either. That's what I've always found to be true. Oh, my flashlight's on. Get off. Get off. Number 4, always be warming up. I tell you what, mate, whoever wrote this list is an absolute fucking genius. Number 4, always be warming up. So I find that a lot of guys today, they don't necessarily have dating problems, they've got communication problems. And a lot of guys today, they're just not talking to enough people on a daily basis. You might be similar to my clients right now, where you're spending a lot of time behind a laptop, you're doing a lot of deep work. You don't have any strong desire right now to talk to people because the less you talk, the less you want to talk. So what I found is if you want to be more confident approaching women, simply start talking to as many people on a daily basis as possible. Always be warming up, always be striking up conversations with strangers. For example, super simple, anybody can do this. When you go to get your morning coffee at Starbucks or there are other branches and worldwide global chains that are available, but we'll use Starbucks. When you go to Starbucks and you're looking at the barista, rather than ordering your coffee like some closeted heterosexual and being like, oh, excuse me, can I have the cinnamon latte? Oh, is that okay? Rather than doing it like that, order your coffee in a confident way and then just ask the barista, how's your day going? Yeah, nice day for it today. How's your day going? Oh, it looks busy today. Because what you want to get used to doing is being seen, all right? Because one of my clients, Ephraim, he used to work in cold calling. So he used to have to call up strangers and get phones slammed in his face, metaphorically, not literally. And what he said to me always rung true. He said, Christian, when I was cold calling, I realized people are not scared of cold calling. They're just scared of calling in general. Yeah, and I think a lot of us, you might not necessarily be scared right now of being rejected by women. The reason why you have approach anxiety, it might be more related to the fact that uncertainty is just there. You don't know how your conversations are going to go. You don't know how the girl's going to react. Maybe you've got this overwhelming fear of what these NPCs are going to think of you. And for you, because you're not approaching, because you're not initiating, because you're not opening enough people, you have this overwhelming sensation of, oh, if I do this, what will happen? So you're being castrated by uncertainty right now. So an exercise that I give to my clients, and something that I think this is important, because a lot of guys, I think they view daytime approach as some gimmick, as some tactic, as some technique. The way that I view this skill, because all daytime approach is talking to people. That's it. It's all it comes down to. It's talking to people. What I've done now, having been approaching for the past 6 years and working with over 200 guys, helping them come out of the closet of heterosexuality, getting dates on demand with wife-worthy women, I now see talking to people, I see seduction as something I am rather than something that I do. And when you make this mental shift, when you see yourself as a creator of magical experiences, you don't see this thing called daytime approach as this weird pickup technique of something you need to switch on and off. No, it's something you are rather than something you do, and you become what you practice. So if you want to naturalize this whole process and make it feel as effortless as drinking water, always be warming up, always be starting conversations with people. Because what I've found to be true in my own life is the more you open, the more you'll want to open. This very much is a game of momentum. And the way that I define momentum is the removal of doubt. So yeah, that's number 4. What are we on now? Number 5. Oh, this is a juicy one. Just focus on the open. Okay, so have you ever seen a beautiful woman, right? Have you ever seen a beautiful woman who you wanted to approach? And rather than approaching her, you thought too many steps ahead. You rejected yourself on her behalf. You experienced failure in advance. And before you know it, the moment's gone. Yeah, you're doing these mental gymnastics in your mind, like, oh, how do I transition from the open to the conversation? What's the best way to go for the phone number? What can I talk about? How can I be witty and charming and funny? And before you know it, she disappears into the crowd, never even knowing you existed. And then you're sat there, or maybe you stood there, with your dick in your hands, and you're replaying this moment over and over in your head. Yeah, you're probably thinking, oh, why am I such a pussy? Why am I such a bitch? Oh, I've got all the trappings of success. I'm in shape. I look good. I dress well. But why do I still have this hesitation to approach women? And what I found to be true with all of the career-driven, analytical, logical guys who I've worked with is if you want to feel more confident approaching women, just focus on the open. That's it. I remember the point that I made earlier, going to give. If you combine these two together, you're going to have no problem whatsoever approaching women. If your mentality is right, let's go to give. Let's be the reason why she has a better day, and your only intention is to focus on the open. That's it, right? Whenever I'm working my guys in person, all we will focus on for the first day of in-person coaching is the stop itself, right? Is walking over to a woman who's walking, getting her to stop, approaching with conviction, and delivering the value that they've built to that woman. Because the problem is that one of the biggest reasons why so many guys today feel like closet heterosexuals and they feel as though they can't approach women because it's wrong, it's creepy, is because dating is not a thinking man's game. Yeah, you're not going to think your way into a confident state, but your natural confident state is already there. It's just buried beneath bullshit in the same way that every guy has technically got a six-pack. It's just buried under a layer of fat. So if you find right now you're in this analysis paralysis, you're trying to overthink every single move and you want conditions to be perfect, just focus on the open. Yeah, when you walk out today, the simplest strategy I can give you, walk out your house today, find one middle-aged woman, have the mentality of going to give, and just focus on giving her a compliment, right? And when you do give a compliment, this is kind of like a bonus point, but hey, I'm fucking giving today, I'm giving. When you're complimenting women, get rid of these lukewarm, tepid adjectives. Stop walking over to women and being like, excuse me, you look cute, right? Stop telling women they look cute. Dogs look cute, puppies look cute, kittens look cute. Women don't look cute, right? Women are beautiful, they are sexy, they are incredible. And when you start delivering these hard-hitting, shameless compliments, you'll feel more like a man. You'll feel as though you are reclaiming your balls. You'll feel the closet heterosexuality stripping away from you, young Padawan. So going out to give, yeah, always be warming up, but just focusing on the open. That's a mentality that massively beneficial to me. Number 6, understanding why you feel so anxious, right? So let me just give you a quick evolutionary biology lesson. So the reason why you've got approach anxiety, there's nothing wrong with you. It's because you're carrying outdated, primitive programming, okay? Because if you were to approach a woman in the caveman days and she was like, "Soz mate, I don't want to bang you," it would have meant your DNA wasn't worthy of replication, right? And the reason why you fear failure, the reason why you have this fear of the spotlight effect and what other people are going to think, because right now, you might not be scared of approaching, but you might be scared of being seen to be approaching. You might have this fear of public humiliation. What are people going to think? Embarrassing yourself in public. That's ingrained into your DNA, because if you were to get rejected 200,000 years ago, when we exist in tribes of around 150 people, all of the tribe would have known about it. So it wouldn't have just meant embarrassment, it would have meant exile. It would have meant no access to food, to shelter, to reproduction. So we've carried this primitive programming into the modern day, because I think it's important. A lot of guys, they know they have this resistance. We call it approach anxiety, but anxiety is not an illness. Anxiety is an emotion, and the only reason you feel this feeling is because it's been ingrained into your DNA as a defense mechanism. It's designed to keep you safe. So when you're going out there into the field and you think you're broken, you think there's something wrong with you, you feel as though you're going to be a closet heterosexual your entire life, recognize it is simply your mind's way of keeping you safe. But in the modern day, and this is what's awesome about approaching right now in the modern world, you can approach as many women as you want with no biological repercussions. I've been rejected more than anybody else that I know, and it's because I've taken more shots than anybody else that I know. And the beautiful thing about the dating game is you only need one. Yeah, you only need one wife-worthy woman to think you are God's gift to humankind to have an incredible dating life. But so many guys today, they crave universal approval. They want every single woman to like them. They want to be everything to everybody. But the way you want to play this dating game is not being everything to every woman, but filtering for your fuck yeses to find the right somebody for you. Yeah, so it's completely normal that you have this resistance. It's completely normal that you feel apprehension to approach women. But just understand, there's nothing wrong with you. It's imprinted into your DNA, but you're not going to think your way through it. And that's why I say to guys, you want to get 100 daytime approaches done as fast as possible. When guys work with me, I always say one approach with me is worth 100 approaches on your own, because I can give you feedback on your conversation skills, your vibe, your overall presence in the conversation. But understand why you feel anxious, and it's because of your biological programming. Me little chum. Number seven, this is a relatively new one for me, but it's changing my life. Number 7, if you want to be more confident approaching women, is to stop drinking alcohol, all right? So I've been sober now for the past 5 weeks. And the reason why I wanted to stop drinking was because I didn't like who I became under the influence of alcohol. And now for me, it's not a case of when will I drink again, it's why, right? I think that a lot of guys today, they rely on liquid courage to be able to approach women. You might have had this before, where maybe right now, the only way you can approach women is if you've had 5 shots of Sambuca, yeah? But once that liquid courage is wore off, you feel less of yourself. You don't feel like your true self anymore. You feel as though your confidence is predicated on the amount of alcohol you've had to drink. And being from the UK myself, it's become commonplace, I would say, in the UK. Yeah, you go out, you get smashed, you start talking with a woman that you're not really that attracted to, you go back home, you have sex, maybe she gets pregnant, then you have a kid, then you get a mortgage, then you buy a dog, and then you're dead. I feel like that is the way that the majority of men are living today. I think the majority of men today are living dating lives of quiet desperation. And the reason why I was so attracted to Daytime Approach in the first place in 2020 is it always felt like the most authentic, gentlemanly way of creating cosmic connections with wife-worthy women. I like the fact that it wasn't dependent on stimulants or external things. It was like, right, me man, she woman, I like that, being the cultured caveman in a way. But I think the reason why entrepreneurs, business owners, successful high-performing men are attracted to Daytime Approach is because it complements an already healthy lifestyle. You don't need to be going to nightclubs anymore. You don't need to be relying on liquid courage. So what I'd say to you is just do 30 days sober. Yeah, because for me, Daytime Approach, it's a lifestyle. And you're probably similar to the guys who I work with, where you're building a business, you're creating something of value. Maybe you are a visionary, you're a world builder. And I got to a point 5 weeks ago where I'm like, Christian, alcohol is giving away, it's taking away more than it's giving to me. And now when I'm out there and I'm approaching, let's say I'm doing 30 approaches in a day, I'm in this state that I call godly frequency, which is the removal of doubt. It's the removal of everything that isn't you. And I find now that when I'm out there approaching, I'm not doing it for the women, I'm doing it for that state. I'm doing it to get myself into this high frequency, godly state. And now when I'm approaching, I'm in this social flow state. It feels like I'm drunk, but I'm sober, yeah? So what I would say to you is, if you want to develop rock star confidence when it comes to approaching women, stop drinking. Stop allowing your life energy to be poisoned by spirits, by liquor, by shit that's depleting you of your life energy, because you probably had it before. Maybe you went out the night before, you got white girl wasted, you wake up the next morning, you set the intention to do some approaches, but now you feel lethargic, you feel as though you've lost your drive, you don't even feel like yourself anymore. So that's just been beneficial for me. And by the way, this list is just things that have worked for me. I'm not trying to lecture you, I'm not trying to be a fucking guru. These are just things that have helped me, they've helped my clients. Maybe they'll help you as well. My cameraman's yawning, so I think I'm getting fucking boring, mate. Number 8 is, this is a good one, this is a juicy one, this will wake you up. Number 8 is understanding that every approach is independent of each other. So you probably had it before where you want to approach women, but you're shit scared of being rejected, you feel like a closet heterosexual, and you talk yourself out of every approach. What I love about Daytime Approach is the sheer randomness and the chaos of it. I could go out today, I could do 10 approaches back to back to back, and every approach might result in a rejection, okay? I think we also need to be careful with the terminology, yeah? Stop saying, I got rejected today, yeah? Because it seems too harsh. All that happened was you went out, you extended an invitation, and the women you approached declined your invitation. Maybe she wasn't available. It might have been a case of same girl, different day, different story. You don't know what's going on in these women's lives. So stop saying you got rejected. You extended an invitation, she declined it. So let's say I approached 10 women today and they all said, "Soz mate, I'm unavailable." They declined my invitation. What I understand now is you are only ever one approach away from everything changing. Yeah, let's say you do 120 approaches in a row and every single woman declines your invitation. And let's say through perseverance, through being relentless, through developing this desensitization to the perceived worst case scenario, let's say the 121st approach that you do results in you getting a girlfriend, right? But this is where most guys quit. Most guys will go out, they'll do one approach, it doesn't go that well. Maybe they don't get the girl to stop, maybe they're giving off closet heterosexual vibes, maybe they lack conviction, whatever. So most guys, they'll do one approach, it doesn't go their way, and then they convince themselves, oh, cold approach doesn't work. And I was like, bro, all this is talking to people. It's like saying the gym doesn't work. It's like saying sales doesn't work. It's like saying marketing doesn't work. It works as long as you do. But if you want to get true results from this skill, you need to put the points on the board. That's why I say you need to do at least 100 approaches within the next 90 days, because that's going to allow you to stack momentum. But understand, every single approach is independent of each other. You could go out today, you could have 20 women who are unavailable, and just by staying out in the field for one more approach, that 21st approach could result in a wife-worthy woman. And this is what I say to all my guys who I work with. If you're going through it right now and your conversations are not clicking and every woman is saying to you, I've got a boyfriend, or you're getting phone numbers that are flaking, the important thing at some point is to get feedback on your conversations, okay? Because if you've done hundreds of approaches and you're not getting the results that your efforts deserve, then at some point I would urge you to get feedback, because I've told the story before. But one of my clients, Ethan, before he worked with me, he'd done over 250 approaches on his own. And it took him 3 years to do these approaches. In those 3 years, after 250 approaches, he'd been on 2 dates, okay? And then within 6 weeks of working with me, he'd been on 6 dates with 6 different women. And this is why it's not about taking action, it's about taking conscious action. Otherwise, it's kind of like going to the gym and practicing bad form. But understand, every approach that you do, they are all independent of each other. These women who you approach, they're not communicating with each other on some abstract network. They are not spokeswomen for all of feminine kind. You're only ever one approach away from everything changing, and all of these approaches, they are independent of each other. That's always a mindset that's kept me steady. Because the thing is as well, I don't believe in the one, but I do believe in soulmates. I believe that there are certain women who have been put on this earth specifically for us, and it's our job as men to find these women. So when I'm out in the field now, and let's say I'm getting a lot of women who are declining my invitations, all I say to myself now is, that's okay, she's just not my girl. Yeah, and even if it's not true, we make it true by believing in it. Perception is very much reality. So yeah, I think that's an interesting mindset to have, where you are very much, when you're out there in the field, you're filtering for your fuck yeses, the women who just like you for you. Number 9, consequences beat confidence. This is an important one, because I think that today, what is the fly who's buzzing around me, you little fucker? A lot of guys today, they don't have confident problem. They have a consequence problem, okay? Because think about it like this. If you're a boxer, if you hesitate in the boxing ring, you get knocked out. In business, hesitation costs you money. But when you hesitate with approaching women, nothing bad immediately happens, yeah? Because for a lot of guys, they're trying to learn this skill all on their own, which for me is like trying to climb Mount Everest without a guide. And what happens is, because a lot of guys who are solo players, they have no witness to their failures, right? Because for a lot of guys, let's say you went out today and you saw 5 women who you wanted to approach, and let's say you pussied out on every single one of those approaches. Maybe you found some convenient excuses. Maybe you said to yourself, oh, it's not the right time. Maybe you said to yourself, oh, everyone's watching. Maybe you said to yourself, oh, I'm feeling low energy right now. I'm not in the mood. I'll do it next time. What's happening here is not a lack of confidence, because you are a confident human being, right? You're confident in your job. You're confident when it comes to your career, your mindset, your discipline, your fitness. The problem that a lot of guys have when they're learning daytime approach is there's no immediate consequences to the fact that they pussy out. So what I say to guys is, you need to introduce consequences that make failure non-negotiable, okay? So for example, if you set the intention this Saturday to do 5 direct daytime approaches, before you go out into the field, send a message to one of your friends. Say, John, listen, my intention this Saturday is to approach 5 women and give them strong compliments. What I will do is I'll go into my city centre, I will record the audio of these conversations to prove to you I've done it. If I don't do it, and this is the important point, if I don't do it, I have to wire you $1,000, right? Now you've burnt the boats. Now you've introduced consequences. Now it's not about confidence. Now you've got the metaphorical gun to your head, right? You've burnt the boats. There's no going back. If you don't do it, then this consequence will happen. And this is what happens with the guys who work with me. Once guys allocate their capital, once guys invest thousands of dollars into my expertise, there's no going back anymore. They burnt the boats. There's no excuses. There's no time for, oh, I need to think about it. There's no time for, oh, I didn't see her. There's no time for, oh, I'll get the next one. No, you are fully committed. And this is one of the reasons why my clients get the results that they do, is because they introduce consequences that make it impossible to fail. And by the way, you can go over to my testimonials page called Christian Casanova Testimonials. You can see a collection of my clients who say how great it's been to work with me. Evidence has got the loudest voice. But you don't lack confidence, you lack consequences. You need to introduce reasons why you can't fail. Right, we're getting into the home straight now. 1, 2, 3, 4 more to go. Number 10, this is a quick one. Reduce social media exposure, all right? Because for a lot of guys, you are flooding yourself with comparisons. Yeah, a lot of guys, before they go out to approach, they are doom scrolling social media. They're comparing their lives to other guys' lives. Before you go out to approach, you might be scrolling the news. You might be ingesting all of this bullshit social media content. And before you know it, your head is filled with these airbrushed images, these filtered facades, guys who don't even look like themselves. Reduce your screen time, reduce your social media exposure. I've got an app on my phone, it's called Opal, and I pay about $100 a year for the subscription. What it means is it stops me from using certain apps at certain times, yeah? And I think we've got some passers-by, hello. Feel free to walk by. It's all right. Okay. All right. It's a good thing about recording in public. You always get passers-by, and they're always like, "Oh shit, should we go past? Should we not go past?" So yeah, that's kind of cute. That's kind of cute. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, reduce social media exposure. This thing, it can be a superpower or it can be a kryptonite. If you're anything like me, you probably run a lot of your business on your phone. Yeah. Genuinely thought someone just jumped in the water. She was thinking, mate, this video is dog shit. I'm getting in there. Gonna go copulate with the lizards. But yeah, my phone, it can be a superpower or it can be a kryptonite, right? You probably got a lot of shit on this thing that you need it for. But what I say to my guys, before you go out there and approach, don't look at your phone. Right, when you're out there and you are approaching women, avoid the temptation to be doom scrolling on your phone in between approaches. Yeah, avoid the temptation to be allowing the external world to dictate your reality. So if you feel as though right now you are lacking that mental clarity, maybe when you're out there and you're approaching, you feel as though your head is bombarded by bullshit, reduce your social media exposure. I would say download Opal. I'm not fucking sponsored, nowhere near big enough to get sponsored by Opal, but it's an app that's massively helped me. And if you're anything like me, if you've got a hyperactive brain, if you feel as though a lot of your business and your regular escapades happen on your screen, then I'd say download Opal. It'll change your absolute life. Number 11, this is really solid. Number 11, if you want to be more confident approaching women, is to have an immersion week, okay? Because like I always say to every single guy who I work with on these videos as well, if you want to develop rock star confidence, if you want to stop feeling like a closet heterosexual and you want to be able to experience social success in advance, then what you need to do is you need to do 100 daytime approaches, okay? And the easiest way to do this is schedule 7 days, right? Take a week off work or block out 7 days in your schedule, have an immersion week, okay? And what I say to most guys is every day for 7 days, do 15 daytime approaches. By the end of those 7 days, you've done 105 daytime approaches, right? And now, because you've got past that 100 approach threshold, you'll have momentum behind you. You'll know how to open, you'll know how to carry conversations. Maybe you've got some phone numbers. The biggest problem that I see with guys is they take too long to get these first 100 approaches done. Yeah, they take too long to do these approaches in the first place. So what I would say to you, if you're someone who is serious about mastering daytime approach, you're sick of dating apps, you don't want to be spending time in nightclubs, you're sick of your social circle, and you just want to develop this elite rock star confidence and get dates on demand with wife-worthy women, then have an immersion week. Okay, I'd actually suggest having an immersion week in a city where nobody knows you, okay? Because what happens usually with the guys who work with me one-on-one in person, they'll typically do their in-person coaching in a city where nobody knows them, all right? So for example, one of my guys, Cassius, when we started working together at the start of this year, he was 40, right? 40 years old. And he'd been terrified of approaching women his entire life. He was always scared of getting a bad reputation for himself in his city. He was always scared of what happens if he approaches, the approach goes bad, and then what if other people see him getting rejected? So he'd been a closet heterosexual for the best part of 40 years. He's based in Denmark, okay? So he's based in Denmark. And rather than doing his in-person coaching in his home city, where he might bump into people who he knows, he flew out to meet with me in Barcelona. I took him through the same process that I take all my clients through. He got to a situation in Barcelona where he went on 3 dates with 3 different women all on the same day. He then flew over to Brazil where he was replicating the same results. But the reason why this happened is he went to a city where nobody knew him. He did his immersion week in a place that allowed him to recreate his entire identity. And actually that brings on to the next point, which is to change location. Because you might be in a similar position to Cassius right now, where maybe you've developed a level of status in your city. Maybe for you, you're not scared of approaching, but you are scared of being seen to be approaching. And after a while, you recognize that good game cannot make up for a shitty location, right? For example, if you're really into Latina women, but you're based in Stoke in the UK, then you're screwed, right? Because you want to... And I would say this is the situation that most guys get to. Like you start off with daytime approach, you're shit scared, you feel like a closet heterosexual, you've got a load of approach anxiety. Then once you can start getting dates consistently with women who you find attractive, the next question becomes, where am I treated best? Where do I find the most pleasure in a place? because good game cannot make up for a shit location. The majority of guys who I work with, they will fly out to the city where I'm based. So I might be in Barcelona, I might be in London, I might be in Warsaw. And for a lot of these guys, they are able to recreate themselves in novelty in a new place where nobody knows them. So I would suggest to you that if you've got a lot of apprehension right now, it might be attached to the place that you're currently in. For example, whenever I go back to my hometown in the Lake District, I always feel as though I'm regressing, right? Because when I was brought up in the UK, I was an only child, so I've got no brothers or sisters. I grew up in a single mother household. Social skills never came naturally to me. I was always shit with women. For a big portion of my life, I just felt like a loser. I felt like an outcast. I felt as though the world was not taking me seriously. And now obviously I've developed myself into who I am today. But even for me, when I go back to my hometown in the Lake District of 60,000 people, I can feel as though that place sucks me back into the person who I used to be. So I think that if you've got the ability to have location independence, go to the places where you're treated best, go where you're valued, go to the places where you can leverage rarity. For example, when I lived in Brazil, when I was in Rio de Janeiro, bless you, when I lived in Rio de Janeiro, my closing rate in Rio was way stronger than my closing rate in the UK, because in Brazil, I was more of a rarity. Similar thing to one of my clients, Ephraim. When I worked with Ephraim in 2023, he flew from San Francisco to Warsaw, Poland, and one of his limiting beliefs was, Christian, I'm a black guy, right? So Ephraim's black. And he said to me, Christian, I'm gonna be one of the very few black guys in Warsaw. I'm scared the women are not gonna like me because I'm black. And I was like, dude, the women in Warsaw are gonna love you because you're black. They don't see guys like you every single day, so you can leverage rarity in the same way that the reason why gold is considered valuable is because it's scarce, okay? The more scarce something is, the more valuable it's perceived. So when Ephraim flew to meet me in Warsaw, he was going on multiple dates a week, multiple dates in a single day, because he was able to leverage rarity. So that's what I'd say to you as well. If you've been approaching right now for 12 months and you're barely going on dates, everything feels inconsistent, every single girl is saying, I've got a boyfriend, it might not actually be you. It might be to do with the location that you're currently based. And the final thing, fucking hell, we got to the end of this thing. Woohoo! We've had lizards, we've had people sneezing. Absolute works, mate. The final thing, to be more confident when it comes to approaching women, is to go out to get rejected. Okay, this is one of these superpowers that completely changed my relationship with rejection, because a lot of guys fear the perceived worst case scenario. A lot of guys have got this universal fear of not receiving love from the feminine. A lot of guys, they try and tiptoe around rejection like it's a fucking plague. One of the biggest mental shifts that I made that made me immune to rejection was going out into the field to get rejected on purpose, right? Because when you go out with the mindset of being rejected deliberately, rejection stops to have the same emotional hold, right? And in fact, what I'll do, because we've done a lot of talking in this video, I like to lead by my actions rather than by my words. There's a video that's just appeared on screen, and that is a full video of me going out into London to get rejected on purpose. So yeah, I'd suggest watch that. You can watch me getting rejected, and I think it's been an absolute banger, mate. Nice one. All right, ta-da.